Hello everyone, this is a dry tulip painting tutorial. This is one of the most beautiful works of art using flowers that I've ever painted. It's one of my favorites, and it's using tulips as they have started to decay and die. So the tulips that I have they started out just as regular tulips and they've started to die. So the leaves have started to sort of curl, and I'm going to show you how to use that using a paper by Arteza. The paper is 100% cotton, so it soaks up a lot of liquid without the paper rippling. And I'm using a wet to wet technique. So what I'm doing is I'm wetting the paper first, and I'm wetting the paper in the shape, this sort of like really abstract shape of the tulip leaves as they started to sort of curl, dry. It's a very unique shape once the flowers start to die. So I'm using inks, and I'll leave all of the inks below, and as well as links where you can get the inks from. And all I'm doing is just putting a drop of ink for each flower petal. I'm not taking my brush and painting the whole thing. I'm just letting the inks sort of flow wherever they want to flow, and I came up with this. So I'm going to start to draw the stem of the flower, and I want to show this gradation of color. So as the flower has started to die, the green pigment from the stem has started to grow into the leaves and sort of creating this yellowish brown color. So I'm taking some watercolor paints. The watercolor paints that I'm using are also by the brand Arteza. Again, I'll leave a link where you can get those those watercolors and the watercolor paper from Arteza below. And also Arteza is leaving a 10% coupon if you use the code that I'm going to leave below to purchase these products. And I highly recommend these products. I've used them over and over again, especially for the past couple of tutorials. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing the stem with water, and as you can see, this beautiful brownish color has started to fade into the flower and also fade into the stem of the leaf, and that's going to create this very authentic gradation of color and hue. So I'm going to paint the next flower, and again, these tulips came in the same bouquet, but as they started to decay, they started to take on different colors. So this one has a darker sort of burgundy-ish color, and I'm going to paint that with water, and I'm allowing the water from the previous flower to flow into this flower so that it looks like it's just all beautifully merging and flowing together. And I'm taking a darker tone of purple, mixing it with a little bit of red and black, and I'm doing the exact same thing that I did. So you can see that I'm barely touching the paper. The water and the ink is pretty much doing the work for me, and it's creating, and I really love it because it gives the tulip a completely different shape and dimension. As you know, tulips usually come sort of pointed and sticking up, but they've started to slump over, and it's sort of like this globe type of look, and I just think it's beautiful. All right, so the last one that I'm going to create is this tulip that you see sitting on the left side of the screen. Again, barely touching the paper, just very, very, very loosely touching the paper. And like I said, I do have a course on flower painting techniques, but if you guys would like to enroll in a course, maybe just on painting dry flowers, please let me know, and that will be something that I will consider teaching. All right, so I've put the brown color down at the bottom. I've continued on with a green watercolor, and again, the watercolors I'm using are by Arteza. They're from their premium watercolor paints. And I'm pretty much finished. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white watercolor paint, and I'm going to fill in a few little tips and a few little lines in between each flower, and that just brings it more to life. I mean, just imagine this flower like on a wall in a beautiful restaurant, or on fabric for a dress. It's very, very elegant, a very light touch. And it's all because of the technique of this very loose style of painting. And you can see how this white is sort of bringing it together and bringing more 3D dimension to it. And for these paintings, it's very important that you do not overdo it. Don't try to do too much. So I'm going to sign the painting, and that is our finished tulip painting tutorial. And this only took maybe like 10 or 15 minutes to do. So it's really easy, simple, and it does take technique to get to this point where you're very comfortable with painting loosely and you're comfortable with not overdoing it. But I'm very pleased with it. It has a lot of vibrancy without doing too much. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I will leave everything that I use down below in the description box. Also, I'll leave a link below for my flower painting online course, where you'll find out a lot of information that you need to know on how to paint loose flowers, including printouts that you can use like a cheat sheet for flower painting. Have a great weekend creating. Please try to draw something every single day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao.